here. Today is our first day of showing this film to the public. So thank you so much for being here. I'm DIANE QUON, and I'm one of the producers on the film. And with me, I have some wonderful people. Kirby, who you saw in the film, so one of our stars, and then EUGENE, who is our wonderful director of the film. We're going to have some questions, and maybe if we have time, we'll ask some questions. We'll allow you to answer ask them questions as well. Or you can answer the questions. Because sometimes I think you know more about the roles than we all do, so a lot of the fans, which we appreciate so much. So EUGENE, tell me, how did you come to this story, and why did you think it was important to tell it?
Well, you called me. No, but I think from the beginning, I've always been fascinated by Korean rock. Like, it just always struck me because, I like rock music to begin with, but, because there's so much K-pop out there, and I grew up here. I was actually born, in Glendale, so this is all very much like a homecoming. Oh, hi, Mom, hi, Dad. Hi, Paul. My family's here, too. So yeah, there was K-pop all around, of course, and K-pop is great, but the rock music always just really resonated with me because there's this question of where is this coming from? It's not coming from the same system that everything else is coming from. And so once, I talked to DIANE and started to learn more about the Roses story, they just really represented something that was just so kind of much at the juncture of so many things that are interesting to me. They have this background in the K-pop system, but they're independent and they decided to leave the system. Plus, they've had almost everything that can happen to a Korean musician happen to them that could derail a career, and yet they persevered. And so, and maybe most importantly, they were willing to talk about all of it. So that combination of factors just made this a story that I just really wanted to get involved with, and of course that meant I get to work with DIANE, who I've worked on with on past project as well. So this is where I'll turn it around to you, DIANE. What brought you? How did you come to this story, and what resonated with you about them?
Yeah, thank you for that question, EUGENE. One of our executive producers, Janet Yang, we were having dinner, and she was just telling me the story that she had just met up with some of the Transparent Arts folks, and had asked them what's going on, who's new to your slate of lineup, and they mentioned the Rose. And then when she told me that they were Korean rock band who had their roots in the K-pop system, but decided to go out on their own, to me that's the kind of story I love to tell, is following your own dreams and following your passion and doing the way you wanted to do it versus what others tell you. And so the more I got to thinking of the story, I first wanted to meet the band, and the Transparent Arts was kind enough for me to zoom in with them. And when I saw how vulnerable they were willing to be, and I said, okay, I think let's do it. So many folks say I want to be in a doc and I'll spill the beans, but then they'll say well, don't put that in, or don't put that in. And I could tell when I was meeting with each of the young men, they were willing to share their story, which I thought was important to do. So Kirby, what did you think? So Kirby is part of Transparent Arts, the managers of the Rose. So what did you think when we came to you with the idea of making a documentary, and why did you think it was important to tell their story?
Definitely, like you said, they're just unique in doing K-rock and how they all sort of formed, and I really wanted the story to be told to inspire everybody as well. And it was just like you said, all the different pieces of what helped them to even get to this point, and all that, and all the trials and tribulations, and even like someone mentioned, Far East, to be all right, let's go and support these guys. And it was just all the synergies that made everything really beautiful, and we really thought we need to just tell the story of of these artists that, you know, a lot of the songs they wrote themselves, and then, you know, what they could do if they had the help of somebody like us that have worked in the business for such a long time as well. So yeah, and then we just started recording everything from day one, right? So and then so yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
we're grateful that you said okay.
I have to say, another reason that I really wanted to tell the story was in that initial Zoom with them, they already shared with me some of the depression and some of the trials they had with different mental health trials and challenges. And I thought, for me, that was like so important to be able to share, especially within the Asian community, where it's such a taboo subject. And I thought, if these guys are willing to talk about it, they're young, talented, and good looking. You know, if I tell this story, no one would listen to me talk about mental health. But to hear them be willing to share about it, to me, that was like important to me. And being so vulnerable and talking and sharing their story, how were you able to get them to be able to share that, Eugene? I mean, so many people say to me, how did you gain their trust so that they would speak so honestly?
I mean, a big credit goes to you, of course, sort of for making that first contact with them and kind of sort of presenting our team as a team that they could really be comfortable with. And I think for all of, speaking for the entire documentary team, like, I think our ethic is really based on one that is about collaboration, that really does see, like, whoever the subject, if you will, of a documentary might be, they're truly a participant and not just the subject. They're someone that we really want to work with. And so from the beginning, like, I think we approached in that way, with that sense of humility about the conversation. And I think the guys were just ready to talk and tell their story as well. And so a lot of credit goes to them as well for just being ready to share their story and for being so open with us as well. And I think, I mean, I don't know, like, I speak Korean like someone who's born here, which means like sort of, but not really. But I think part of, so I don't know, maybe they felt sorry for me. But I mean, like, I think a lot of it also comes, like, the way that comes through for me, at least in terms of talking to them, is like, I understand the gulf that I have, despite being Korean American, between myself and their experience, and wanting to really understand where they're coming from. Like, despite sort of the ostensible similarities we might have, like, those differences are really felt. And I think, yeah, the parts that I could be a part of, I tried to make sure that we had conversations where I was very much just trying to learn from them and just sort of like let them tell their story and give them space.
So Kirby, you already knew the Rose so well, having worked with them. Did you learn anything new? Were you surprised by anything in the story from watching the doc?
Definitely, I learned a lot. One of the funny parts was the contract with Sammy and his mom, because my wife has contracts with my son. So I was like, is it like immigrant parents or something? Like, why do they make these kids like sign these contracts? And my son's only 6, so he's like signing all these contracts. We got a stack. So I thought that was really, and then just all their dynamics with their parents. You know, of course, I don't know any of that. I just hang out with them. So, yeah, that was all like very new to me. And yeah, it was so beautiful. Like a lot of those scenes with the parents and Tegum now with his dad and all those parts. Yeah.
I think that's what when we premiered at Tribeca, that was the comment I got a lot from folks, where they loved seeing the parents and how funny they were and how honest they were. And I have to say, I loved that contract that Sammy had to sign. Eugene, so we had some funny stories as we filmed, but what were the biggest challenges, would you say, in filming?
Being a middle-aged person going to Coachella.
I said to Eugene, I was the oldest person. It was like
No, I mean, like, I think Coachella is hard. Like, I mean, my brother just stepped out. We actually went to Coachella like 10 years ago, so it's kind of a funny, like, 10-year anniversary of us having gone, and even at that point, it was difficult. And honestly, even being there, it's like you see 20-year-olds like on the ground at the end of the night, and you're just like, okay, this sucks for everybody. No, but I mean, I think production is always hard. You know, it's always grueling, and I think a big credit goes to, of course, Diane, but also Rich Hama and So Yan who are co-producers, and Rich Hama is our DP as well, our cinematographer. Like their stamina and their just sort of willingness to push through any condition and to just really try and capture those moments. It's a credit to them, and it's a credit to them for being able to do that in a way where the guys felt comfortable enough to capture like the real moments that we were able to capture.
Yeah, some of the other challenges were trying to get into places that we weren't supposed to go. And one of the stories I always love to share is this is what I realized, that Eugene is a very honest person, because, you know, sometimes to get into places you have to lie. Yeah. So we were trying to get into the condos units that they were staying at, and they already had reached the limit of how many people could visit their they knew we were coming, but they just wouldn't allow us, the security wouldn't let us in. So we decided to go in the back and try to sneak in. Eugene, I, and Soyeon. If Rich would have been there, we would have gotten in, because Rich lies really well. But we tried to go in. And then as soon as we get in, the security car is right next to us. And then they said, "Are you supposed to be here?" Eugene, "No." I just look at Eugene.
The look that Diane had on her face in that moment, I was like, oh wow, like I have just fallen like 3 notches in her esteem. But I was raised Catholic, like, you know, that guilt is just real.
So this is going totally in a different direction, but you know, one of my favorite parts of the film is being able to also feature Far East movement and their role in Asian music here in America. And you've known the guys since they were 8 years old. Yeah, they're long time friends. And you saw them rise to Far East movement, being the first to chart #1 in Billboard, first Asian film, first
Hot 100.
Yeah, first Asian band. But then you also saw the challenges they had. I think one of the stories I had heard was when people finally saw them in person, their sales actually went down because they realized, oh, they're Asian.
Yeah, even though
their name is Far East Movement. So how have you seen it change over the years? Is it better? Is it different?
Yeah. Well, you mean of like Asians in music?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's amazing now with K-pop and K-rock and just so many like even Asian American stars really like making a presence globally. So it definitely like you know, all our kids or whoever can look up to become a musician. All the Far East guys, their parents were like, oh, don't do that. You can, you know, it was like really horrible. Like I won't go into too much detail that time, but it was really bad where we couldn't even perform at like a tiny venue where we had to perform at Cafe Blue in Koreatown, which Dumbfounded named the album after. So that was like our first venue where we performed. And so like, but now we could make a phone call to any venue and they're like, oh, how big are you guys? Okay, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's really different now. Yeah, and I'm really happy for that. And that's always been our goal as like Transparent, to like help the next generation to really make an impact globally. And you know, but there's a lot of different ways you could do that in music, and there's a lot of people behind everything you guys see out there in music. There's not just the band itself, or there's hundreds and hundreds of people that help to make everything happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I saw really clearly in doing this doc, was seeing all the people behind the rows to make it happen and support them. And I have to say, that's the same in making a film.
Yeah.
And, you know, I want to recognize my producing partners, Sanjay Sharma, Milan Chakraborty, James Shin, and Joe Plummer, and amazing EPs like DIANE Yang, who brought the film to me. We couldn't have done it without them. And so I have a question for both of you. What do you hope audiences come away with after seeing the film?
I mean, I think the fact that they were able to really carve their own path, like kind of like what you were referring to before, Diane. Like, there was no path for like an indie rock band playing that kind of music in a country where rock is still not as popular as so many other genres outside of the system, to really follow their dreams and trust each other and create their own destiny. But sort of at so many junctures in their career, that's what they had to do. And to see that was possible, and to get to that course took them to Coachella, I think, you know, it's the kind of message that I think, especially now with everything going on, like, I'm just happy to put that out into the world, that you can just follow your dreams and choose your own path and create your own future.
What about you, Kirby?
Yeah, definitely. I hope it inspires the next generation, or, you know, of musicians. And, you know, I was probably with Sammy more than anybody else, like, for the last, like, that whole time period. And he definitely willed, you know, Coachella. Like, we were there every year together, and just as just, you know, going to the show, and we're like, and then even with Tojuni and the other guys, we would like do our sets in the room, just listening to music, be like, "What's up, Coachella? And we're gonna be here, guys. No, we're gonna do it." And it was just like, you know, it was really awesome just watching that, and seeing them really will their way in. And like you said, like, it's like the first like Asian or Korean rock band to like do a major stage there. That was really beautiful.
Yeah, that's true. We actually had a clip of that where Leo is in the audience at Coachella, and he's saying, maybe next year or the year after, our goal is to be at Coachella, and it was so beautiful to see him there. We also have Rachel Lee, and we wanted to make sure she's recognized. She was in the film, and she said so many wonderful things that we couldn't include in the film. And Eugene had one question you were going to ask Rachel, if you don't mind, Rachel.
If you don't mind, like, we don't want to put you on the spot.
But we are.
But yeah, now everybody's looking at you, and it's
Now that
yeah.
you are on the spot.
No, but I mean, when we spoke, you just had your own story was so compelling in terms of how you sort of came to meet the Rose and just sort of like decide to work with them. And I was just wondering if you could share a little bit about that too.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, so for me, I left Korea when I was 10. I grew up abroad, and then I went back to Korea and started working in K-pop. So it was kind of a similar story to Sammy, where I went back, but music was my passion, and I started making it my career. And similar story to the Rose with Transparent Arts, I moved back to LA because I had a dream of, as a Korean, and as a Korean who grew up abroad, I wanted to kind of stand behind the forces of K-pop and what it's doing. And back in Korea, I worked for a major K-pop label, but I believed in that there was kind of a bigger picture that I could be a part of, that's not just limited to boy groups and girl groups and dance groups that were very prevalent at the time. And there was a lot more to Korea as for culture and media, for film, for TV series, for bands, for rappers. There was a lot more that Korea could offer, in my opinion. And Transparent Arts was perfect for that. And yeah, I was there when the guys went into military. We were there together, moving back to LA. So I was kind of like in the similar story. So it was really emotional to see this too. This is my first time seeing it. I wanted to wait until this moment to like sit in a theater to watch it. But yeah, so like I really resonate with the story, and I feel like there's a lot of Koreans who grew up abroad, a lot of immigrants, Asian Americans, who kind of really share the similar story of us like really being proud of our culture, where we come from, and us kind of breaking the boundaries and dreaming. And this also gives me like a sense of responsibility also, because I think right now the generation is better than ever before to have our voices heard, have our music heard, for our dreams to come truer and more real than ever. So yeah, this film was very inspiring for me, emotional for me. It speaks a lot about my past 4 years, and I'm just really glad to be a part of the story. Thank you.
I also just want to mention Lorelai, who also works with Transparent, who's sitting next to her as another part of the team over there.
She put up with us a lot. I think we have time for a few questions, or yeah. Does anyone have a question for us or for?
And while you think about it, I can ask Diane a question or two. How can fans sort of support the film? Because right now the film doesn't have distribution. We're trying to sort of really get the word out. So how can fans best support the film, get the word out, just do what they can to lift the film up?
Well, we have this handy dandy slide behind us, and if you're able to or want to, you can leave a review on IMDb, Letterboxd, or Rotten Tomatoes. And IMDb is very easy. It's just putting us, rating of 5-star, 4 stars, or well, hopefully 5 stars. And then Letterboxd and Rotten Tomatoes, you can leave a review. But all of those help us as we talk to potential distributors. And it just also helps us in our press and social media to share the word that that the folks who watched it, whether they were already Black Roses or they're new fans, it's great to show that this film resonates with a lot of people. And then also you can follow us on Instagram. It's at The Rose Doc, so it's easy, The Rose Doc. And we will give you updates about where we'll be next. And